Howdy, howdy, everybody. I hope everybody is doing great tonight. How's it going, Boots? Nice to see you. Thank you. I always appreciate the reminder. It helps me out. Uh, Tonight, what I'm going to do is we're going to check out what is to be the trailer or the promotion video for what is tomorrow, my and Juxtaposition's 10th show. We're going to title it The Usual Suspects. And so he has so kindly done a short promotion that will kind of help set the stage for the show tomorrow. And so we're going to check it out. I haven't watched it yet. He just put it out. And so this will be my first time checking it out. And so that's what we're going to check out. Maybe go over a few other things. And then tomorrow we'll do that show. It'll be a fun show. We started out the series and then we titled it only on episode 7. And so for the first 6 episodes, it didn't have a title. And then episode 7, we decided to title it The Matrix of Mendacity Masterclass. Because I thought that was the term that we used, was the Matrix of Mendacity. And we've defined it quite a few times. I might go over that here in a moment with you guys. But that's the name of the show. And the last episode we did, I think I showed you guys like a preview clip of that, where we had on Jennifer Small, who was a UPI reporter who had a brief interaction in France before the first Iranian Revolution, because apparently now we have another one going on. So it was interesting because of that timing, where here we are all these years later. Hey, R. Gertison, thanks for tuning in. I'm glad to see you. Glad to see everybody tuning in. Tonight we're going to set the stage for our show, my show with Juxtaposition tomorrow, episode 10. And this is the first time that I'm going to watch this because he put it out just 2 hours ago. And so it's going to help us set the stage for the episode tomorrow. So let me go ahead and roll my short little credits, intro credits, and then we will get it started. Hang around, guys. Alrighty, let me go ahead and make this a little bit bigger. And turn the sound on and get everything rolling.
Hello everyone, Juxtaposition here with a new video. This is a promo video to a show that the channel. I'll be doing it with Josh. I'll be doing it with Josh. It's going to be episode number 10 of our Matrix of Mendacity Masterclass series we're doing at his channel. I'm also going to post it tonight so that you know what's coming Tuesday next. what's going to happen with the Star Chamber investigation video, which we'll post Wednesday evening, which will be the 30th of January 2026. We'll be doing that. Today's video is really inspired by the work I did. Inspector Clouseau, A Shot in the Dark, Hollywood film, produced and directed by Blake Edwards and others, in 1964. Anyway, it's a very complicated series of homicides. To be specific, it's 14 murders. 14 murders, 10 of which were committed by the Chief of Police, the Commissioner Dreyfus, Chief of Police of Paris, the city of Paris, City of Lights. That's disheartening, don't you think? That the law enforcement killed most of the people. Law enforcement. That's a lesson there somewhere.
I think that stutter is on the end of his video. I don't think that's my end. It might be the Substack player.
You have no due process. None. Let me repeat. You'll have no due process, none. And you can be murdered without notice. With informed consent, you'll be sent to the electric chair, right? Given a 60 terahertz bullet, sub-millimeter wave.
He's done some shows. He's done some shows with Sabrina Wallace, Synergy. You guys might have already heard of her. She's actually pretty well known. She's getting very popular. A lot of people I've run into know who she is. So he's done some videos with her. I think they've done, I don't know, maybe 30 some videos together, something like that. Might be wrong about that. Second, let me see if I can. Let's try and play it through Rumble.
Hello everyone, Juxtaposition here with a new video. This is a promo video to a show that'll post tomorrow on the Urban Odyssey channel. I'll be doing it with Josh. It's going to be episode number 10 of our Matrix of Mendacity Masterclass series that we're doing at his channel. I'm also going to post it tonight so that you know what's coming Tuesday next, tomorrow, and that you'll know what's going to happen with the Star Chamber investigation video, which we'll post Wednesday evening, which will be the 30th of January 2026. We'll be doing that. Today's video is really inspired by the work I did with Rose and Jennifer Small with my Inspector Clouseau, A Shot in the Dark, Hollywood film, produced and directed by Blake Edwards and others, in 1964. Anyway, it's a very complicated series of homicides. To be specific, it's 14 murders. 14 murders, 10 of which were committed by the Chief of Police, the Commissioner Dreyfus, Chief of Police of Paris, the city of Paris, City of Lights. That's disheartening, don't you think? That the law enforcement killed most of the people. Law enforcement. Without a trial, without an arraignment, without any due process. There's a lesson there somewhere. That's what real ID is, right? Real ID verified. If you have that, you have no due process. None. Let me repeat. You'll have no due process, none. And you can be murdered without notice. Without informed consent, you'll be sent to the electric chair, right? Given a 60 terahertz bullet, sub-millimeter wave, and put down like Erin Valenti was. A shot in the dark, a shot of a direct energy weapon, right? Wasn't Erin Valenti murdered at age 33 of a manic episode? Wasn't Betsy Arakawa?
We did what he calls them Star Chambers, but we do a meeting Wednesdays and Saturdays. They're available to anybody who wants to come. You just have to have like a webcam and a place to be able to do the show, and they're open to the public, but we investigate just various murders. We investigate different cases, just something a little bit different each time. But this was, I believe, the first one that I did with them was investigating Erin Valenti, and that was a very interesting case.
Put down like her dog was, next beside her dog in her master bathroom atop a mountain military reconnaissance facility called her home. She was 64 or 65 years old, and she died of what was called rodent droppings, later called rodent droppings, which of course is nonsensical and a humiliation to see how dumb you are. I have personally handled hundreds of hamster rodent droppings, and do I look dead to you? I'm doing a podcast, and I handled picking up the poop from a dog for 14 years, and a dog before that for another 10 years, and a hamster. And here I am. I've also been in a pigeon coop. It's a lot of poop in a pigeon coop, and I didn't die. All right, so what I want to tell you is tonight I'm going to cover two homicide murders, which are both military, and they rounded up the usual suspects in one case, and then they didn't do a damn thing in the other case. So the cases are going to be the Abigail Folger, Sharon Tate murders in Benedict Canyon on Cielo Drive, which is really Sunbrook Drive. And we're going to cover that and what would Juxtaposition have done had he played the role of Lieutenant Colombo or Inspector Jacques Clouseau. Or if I was Joe or Frank Hardy of the Hardy Boys, what would I have done? All right, then we're going to look at and examine briefly the Erin Valenti case, where a 33-year-old woman went missing for 5 days, then was found dead in the back of her rent-a-car, a Nissan Murano SUV, parked in front of a 666 address house, mark of the beast, or her back turned to the house with solar panels, the only house with solar panels, and the only house with 5 diamond-shaped holes in the sidewalk beside her car at a 66615 Bowes Lane address, just 1 block up the hill from Diablo Way. I said Diablo Way. Turns out Erin was facing the municipal tennis courts. They're not really municipal. The homeowner association had provided tennis courts across the street from where her dead body was found, where dog walkers walked for 5 days, both morning and evening, and never once saw her dead body. But on a Saturday morning, she was discovered. I believe it was on the October 12th, 2019. In the case of Sharon Tate and Abigail Folger, they were discovered Saturday morning, August 10th, 1969. This is just after we had the fake moon landings.
I'll tell you, it has blown me away, and I haven't done many of these. I've only been doing this for a couple of months with them, but it has blown me away how just a bunch of interested strangers on the internet, by all means, are able to answer who, what, where, when, and why for these cases. I mean, do we know, like, actually what objectively happened? No, not usually. But we'll tell you more than pretty much anybody else will tell you. And apparently, if we were to take the regular narrative, supposedly they've done the best they can at investigating these cases, and they just weren't able to find any details. But then there's us who come along, and we can at least answer the basic questions better than the news, and obviously the news, but then even the people who investigate the crimes.
The moon landings. By the way, if you believe in the moon landings, you think Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin walked on the moon, just get off my channel. You're too stupid to be on my channel. I'm sorry. That's how we roll. I don't have time. We're in a war. We are in a war for our lives, and I don't have time to have stupid people on my channel. All right, so what else can I tell you? We're we're going to dissect this further with Josh and his laser-focused cognition, tenets of thinking, which are quite brilliant. He's the younger version of me, I like to think. Anyway, we're going
I'd
to do
laugh,
that
but I
tomorrow
appreciate
on
it.
his podcast. So look for that. I will provide links when the videos are available. Then on Wednesday evening, my Star Chamber will dissect this, and we'll have our usual insightful members and their comments. So to just kick off this intro show, let's start with, what do we start with? First one last one first. Let's just start with the last one first. That's Erin Valenti. She was disappeared and probably murdered on October 7th, 2019. Last seen alive at 2500 Sand Hill Road, where she spent 90 minutes in a private conference meeting with Dean Jacobson, who was an alumni of Harvard University, where he did 4 years and played football on the Harvard football team. Then he attended Stanford University, which paradoxically is directly across the street from where he works. Sand Hill Road divides the private bankers for the Silicon Valley military complex from Stanford University, Hoover Institute, the Department of Energy's Linear Accelerator, which also is on Sand Hill Road, and of course Sam Bankman-French Fried. You may remember him. He resided on the Stanford campus. His parents are law professors at the Stanford Law School. Victor Davis Hanson has a home there. Henry Kissinger had a home there. Condoleezza Rice has a home there with her female roommate, as did George Shultz, Secretary of State for Ronald Reagan and head of all the CIA housing and office space throughout the whole world, as well as the former president of Bechtel Construction Company, which is a military contracting firm, construction firm, much like Osama bin Laden's family is, just like Halliburton and Brown and Root are. So what I want you to know is every direction you turn 360 degrees, in Menlo Park and Palo Alto, Stanford University, or Cal Berkeley for that matter, everywhere you turn your head, you're going to look at a military-industrial complex for NATO and Swiss Bank Authority. All the money emanates from Switzerland, and all the anthropology and military NATO policies emanate from Geneva, Switzerland, and are acted out through their satellite octopus tentacles, which are found at MIT, Harvard, Princeton, Yale, Tulane University.
Yeah, probably, I think I told you guys this before, but I'll say it again. We found in the course of doing investigation and digging into these Ivy League schools, which are called National Land Grant Research Universities. And so basically they've been given the land to do this research. What we discovered is that the majority of the income that they're bringing in the case of UC Berkeley and MIT, but also I am pretty confident in saying that at least all of the Ivy League schools have this, maybe to a varying degree, but the majority of their money comes from research for weapons and military weapons and research. And then maybe 30 to 40% comes from tuition.
University in New Orleans, Georgetown, University in the Swamp, Stanford University, University of California, Berkeley, University of California, Davis, University of California, San Francisco, Santa Cruz, San Diego, Santa Barbara, Stanislaus, etc., 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 throughout the 9 satellites from UCLA to Stanislaus, University of California, College of California. All right, Erin Valenti was 33 years old. What was she working on? Well, she was working on computer-to-brain interface for mobile devices. Now, the way that all the articles regarding, the very few articles written about Erin Valenti's murder, is that, one, they never called it a murder, even though it was an obvious homicide. So besides concealing the fact that she was indeed murdered, they also were vague and ambiguous as to what she did for a living, which is to work on computer-to-brain interface for mobile devices. Now, they want you to think a mobile device is your cell phone, so you can play a video game, or it's your Bluetooth or Zigbee in your car, or perhaps it's emailing or texting using your laptop or some other mobile device. That's partially true and it's partially incorrect because you listening to my video right now, if you're a human being listening to my video, or if you're a dog sitting on the couch listening to my voice, I'm telling you, you're a mobile device. You're tethered to the cloud as we speak, as you hear and I talk. You are tethered to the cloud, whether you're vaccinated or not. Now, if you're vaccinated and boosted for the flu shot, or you fell for the potato in your tailpipe and are getting annual flu shots, which obviously don't help since you have to keep getting shots indefinitely forever, or if you got a coronavirus shot, which they never invented, or a COVID shot, which they did invent, or the COVID booster shots, which are another hoax, and or if it was the infamous Omicron variant, or it was monkeypox, or bird flu, or mad cow disease, then you have a super duper strong graphene and aluminum based signal tethered to the cloud. So you're uber hooked up to the cloud, and your real ID will work highly effectively as you approach your bank or your Whole Foods. You are traced and tracked independently anyway, whether you carry a mobile device or not, because your DNA, your real ID DNA, your PCR test collection, your CRISPR therapeutics, real ID, your fingerprints, your palm print, your thumb print, your eyeball recognition.
How's it going? Nice to see you. Thanks for tuning in.
Face lies. Those are all bald-faced lies to help your security. Those are to hook you up to the internet, and then the controllers can type in the date of your death, the date of your murder, because you will be murdered. If you have a real ID, you're going to be murdered. They're going to schedule in when your contribution to the Hamlet, the strategic Hamlet, Hunger Game, when that will expire. You have an expiration date. Because you're just a cow on the farm. Every dairy cow, every meat cow, every lamb, every lost lamb, every GPS tracked goat or chicken, every chicken has a real ID identification so that Farmer Jones can get his product slaughtered and turned into cash for his bank account. That's why you trace and track anything. You trace and track.
While we're there, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to read the definition of human husbandry, because it's a term that we use quite a bit, and if you don't know what it means, it'll be probably harder to understand what's being said. So, human husbandry applies the agricultural definition of husbandry, the scientific management, milking, and selective breeding of livestock for maximum profit, to the systemic processing of the human herd within the digital enclosure of C40 smart cities. And this technocratic feedlot populations are corralled into 15-minute containment zones, not for sustainability, but to facilitate the efficient harvesting of biodata and electromagnetic energy via the 6G, 7G body area network. The system reduces the sovereign human citizen to a biological asset kept alive only as long as their economic yield exceeds their upkeep, after which they are discarded like spent dairy cattle. That's not an understatement. That's, as much as people would like to believe it's hyperbole, kind of maybe 5 years ago, but like now it's just not even an understatement. You can go to my channel, you can watch it's 11 parts, and I read through the entire 6G white paper, whole thing, all the way through. And the whole deceptive language, like the whole mobile device, as you just said, that's deceptive because you don't know that extra bit it's double speak. And so the whole thing is deceptively written that way. And that's clear to me now from having read it. Either people don't have the technical jargon to understand it. Thanks, Boots. I appreciate it. It does work. I've tried Elite Potion. I've tried Elite Potion. It does work. It makes you feel... trying to think of how to articulate. It makes you feel like you don't... it's not like overt, but it makes you just feel much more refreshed. You feel kind of at the top of your game. Feel like if you've had a good night's sleep, if you wake up in a good mood, that's how it makes you feel. Um, so I appreciate it, and I know Pastor Carner appreciates it too. Yeah. So definitely worth it because it does help with heavy metals. It does help with parasites. It does help with that stuff. And it is completely natural. So that's the best part, to me at least, because he has taken what, there are tons of different ways to accomplish these things, but he did it in such a way that he didn't have to go with any type of, what's the word I'm looking for? Um, I guess carbon-based pharmaceutical, petroleum. That's what I'm looking for. Petroleum-based pharmaceuticals, and he did the whole thing with different supplements and stuff like that. And so, definitely it's worth trying once. So, all right, let me go ahead and start the video back up.
Track so that you can harvest them. I said harvest, harvest. And somebody harvested Erin Valenti on October 7th, 2019, just before COVID. The deer did avoid the entire COVID psychological terrorism.
No, he did the whole he did a lot of work, and he manufactures and does pretty much he does as much as he can on his own. I mean, he does. I think he told me that he does have like certain people for the bottling and stuff like that, just so that it can be done in an environment that's clean and whatnot. But he puts everything else together. He ships everything, and I think maybe he works with one or two people to help with marketing, but everything is completely done by him. And I, for me, I would trust and value it more that way because he did the research, he formulated the whole thing, he tested it on himself, his family, and so it, and then he's given me a free sample and a few other people to test and try it out. And so when I tell you that it's good, I have tried it. So
Program driven by the United Nations in the form of the World Health Organization, and then through fraudulent institutions like the CDC, Center of Disease Creation, or Anthony Fauci, which is sort of like the Munchkin City on steroids, Health and Human Services, or the National Institute of Health. And it was helped along by other people like Rochelle Walensky, the pseudo director of CDC, and then her replacement, Mandy Cohen, and people like Robert Malone, who also stirred the fear porn that he was involved in the creation of novel vaccines, which makes him a fraud since there are no novel vaccines. There's only putting metal and plastic and graphene into your body along with some arsenic poison with lithium and hooking people up to the internet like their mobile devices, like Erin Valenti was working on. Anyway, her last person to see her alive was Dean Jacobson, who was her former supervisor at Summit Partners in Menlo Park, across the street from the Stanford Research Institute International. She worked at an investment company there, and her boss's boss, Dean Jacobson's boss, was J.J. Cardwell. Well, guess what? He was the second to last person to see Erin Valenti alive, J.J. Cardwell, who went to Stanford University for 4 years, then went and got an MBA from Harvard. Sort of the inverse, the flip-flop of what Dean Jacobson did. Dean Jacobson went to Harvard for 4 years, then came out to Stanford for an MBA, then got a job at Summit Partners where he worked with J.J. Cardwell, who both saw Erin Valenti before she died. In the case of J.J. Cardwell, he took her to dinner Sunday night. She slept in, had a late checkout Monday, and went directly over to see Dean Jacobson, whereupon she disappeared. She disappeared.
had to read this to you as well. Graduation means to increment or to progress. As Jordan Maxwell says, the true meaning of graduation is gradual indoctrination. Indeed, stick a bunch of 5-year-olds in a room with full of 5-year-olds for a year, and then a bunch of 6-year-olds with some 6-year-olds for a year, and so on for 30 years until you're so indoctrinated that they give you a doctorate. So just remember that. And I think, uh, as is the case for this year, that has been proven to be correct also, because it seems like all of the people who went to these places have some marbles loose somewhere or another.
And was found 5 days later dead in the back of her rent-a-car at 6615 Bowes Lane, 1 block away from Diablo Way. You can Google that, and I do recommend you do that. And you will find that 6615 comports to Masonic number 666. When you turn your back to it, you invert it, you flip it to a 999, which means meta, death. And most definitely, Erin Valenti was dead. So, much like the Zodiac killings, where there is no Zodiac killer, there's just military soldiers going around killing people, then we create this illusion that it's a lone nut, right? It's just like Jack Kennedy, right? Jack Kennedy was killed by teams of military soldiers and multiple snipers. And the media wants you to think it was Lee Harvey Oswald, who works for the CIA and military intelligence. That's what they want you to think, despite that there are literally dozens of people involved in the John Kennedy assassination. So, in the case of Erin Valenti, she went missing from Menlo Park. They have a municipal police department, the Menlo Park Police Department. So, in theory, they should be involved. That is in the county of San Mateo. It's the north side of Sand Hill Road is San Mateo County. So they have a sheriff and they have a district attorney for San Mateo County. So that's 3 different law enforcement agencies that should be involved in the disappearance of Erin Valenti. Her dead body was found, like I said, at 6615.
Yeah, Booth, that's exactly how I would describe it. Absolutely.
Bowes Lane, that is in the city of San Jose in the county of Santa Clara. They have a sheriff and they have a police department and they have a district attorney. So there's 3 law enforcement agencies involved with where Erin Valenti's dead body was discovered. So now we're up to 6. Now I'm not done yet, because we have the city of Palo Alto, where Erin slept at the Nest Hotel on El Camino Real, the King's Highway, more or less across the street from Stanford University. And so the Palo Alto Police Department, you'd think, would be interested, since they could help in the disappearance, last seen alive and checked out of the hotel on Monday. Monday at lunchtime, she checked out of the Nest Hotel in Palo Alto. So that makes a grand total of 7 investigative agencies. 7. Which one should be the lead, do you ask? Beats me. None of them took any initiative, none of them took any leads, and the only people that gave a media report was the City of San Jose Police, and 4 months later, the medical examiner of Santa Clara County reported that the cause of death for Erin Valenti was a manic episode, which is a bald-faced lie. Erin's own father, Joseph Valenti, characterized the handling of the investigation of his daughter's disappearance for all law enforcement agencies as a charade. That's what her father called it. It was a charade. A charade? A charade? Okay, well, that's what I would call it too. I would call it a cover-up. I guess I'd go further than charade. I would call it a military cover-up of a NATO murder, Gladio murder, a Gladio assassination. All right, so since the police never investigated Erin Valenti as a murderer, I did. I've done a number of videos on them. I'll post some links to some of the videos I did on Erin Valenti. But here are some of the material witnesses or persons of interest that I would call in, and I would give a polygraph examination to every single one of the names I'm going to tell you about. J.J. Cardwell, obviously, he's the most senior person to see Erin Valenti alive, one of the last people to see her alive. Technically, he is the second to last person to see her alive, J.J. Cardwell. And I'd call him in for questioning, give him a polygraph examination. And I would call in Dean Jacobson, who was the last person to meet with Erin Valenti.
Just for the record, I'll give you my opinion on this case. My opinion is, without like putting the whole thing like out and like going through the whole case again, I think what happened was either she was given a lot of a fair deal of executive decision. She was leading a very important project, and what happened, in my guess, is that she got to a level where she had to either be brought into the club, so you have to join the club and be one of us so that you can be trusted, because this is such an important project. And then if she doesn't join, then she has to be gotten rid of. Or that's why I think maybe she found something out and now she had to either join or be gotten rid of. That's my thinking.
J.J. Cardwell had dinner with her, and the next day Dean Jacobson had lunch with her. And I would also like to know if Dino Jacobson and J.J. Cardwell spoke between the time that J.J. had dinner with Erin and Erin arrived at 2500 Sand Hill Road to meet upstairs in that two-story building in the private offices of Dean Jacobson. I bet you dollars to donuts they had a long conversation to discuss the handling of Erin Valenti in her 90-minute meeting with Dean Jacobson. Anyway, I would also call in Thomas Reardon. He's the CEO of Control Labs. They're involved with merging with Facebook. Today it is called Meta Dead. And Thomas Reardon would have known Erin Valenti. She was contracted by Control Labs to work on computer-to-brain interface, which now is part of the Meta program of VR, AR, augmented reality, virtual reality. That's Erin Valenti, and she's dead as a doornail. I would also want to talk with Bob Valentine, who was former managing director of Sequoia Capital, because he's located at 2800 Sand Hill Road, which is just one parking lot above, and see what dealings he had. He was involved, his company, Sequoia Capital, is involved with the equity funding of Facebook and also Control Labs. So he is a financial partner that is directly related to the work of Erin Valenti and computer-to-brain interface. He's dead, however. He died 13 days after Erin Valenti, so we cannot interview Bob Valentine. He's from the Bronx, New York. He went to Fordham University, in case you were wondering. Anyway, his job was replaced by Doug Leone, so I would bring Doug Leone in lieu of bringing in Bob Valentine. Doug Leone can also speak as to matters of FTX, since he funded FTX with $135 million, and he selected Sam Bankman-Fried to be the president of the board, and his banks would have financed and monitored Caroline Ellison and Sam Bankman French Fries FTX. They also picked the board of directors. Nowhere in any media story have you ever heard the name Doug Leone. He was born in Genoa, Italy. He was raised in Mount Vernon, New York. And like I said, he's a billionaire banker on Sand Hill Road. His office is at 2800 Sand Hill Road. Just walking distance, very short walk from where Erin Valenti was last seen alive. All right, then I would call in Jim Breyer of Jim Breyer Capital. He used to be the managing director of Excel KKR, which is who Dean Jacobson took that job. Dean Jacobson. We can also ask Jim Breyer if he knew Erin Valenti. I bet you dollars to donut he's met her multiple times. But we can ask him about Angela Chow, his Chinese wife from Long Island, because you know what? She drowned in his irrigation pond on the Stupid Bowl weekend of February 13th, back when I think the 49ers were playing the Masonic Kansas City Chiefs. Remember that? So we had Angela Chow died on that Sunday. So he has a dead wife. She went to Harvard also. She went 6 years to Harvard. She has a undergraduate and an MBA from Harvard. And Jim Breyer went to Stanford, just like Peter Thiel did, just like J.J. Cardwell did. Then he got an MBA from Harvard, just like J.J. Cardwell did, just like Angela Chow did, just like Jim Breyer did. Do you see some parallels here? Jim Breyer, Angela Chow, Dean Jacobson, J.J. Cardwell, they are both affiliated with Stanford University and Harvard. Well, maybe not so much in the case of Angela. She was Harvard only. But I would bring in Joe LeCobe. He is the managing director of KKR, pardon me, of, what is he in charge? Eugene Kleiner Perkins. Kleiner Perkins, CEO, and he is involved also in the equity funding of Facebook and the merger with Control Labs. I bring in his partner, Peter Guber, as he may personally know, Erin Valenti. These are all people of interest. Many of them are material witnesses. Certainly J.J. Cardwell and Dean Jacobson are. I would bring in Erin's husband, Harrison Weinstein. I'd bring him in. I'd bring in Scott Rafferty, who was a business mentor and booked Erin's last motivational speaking engagement down in Laguna Niguel, Dana Point at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. I'd bring him in. I'd also bring in her partner at Tinker Ventures. Now he's in Pakistan. I'm not sure we can bring him in for questioning. Amir Khan, spelled Khan, I bring him in. He's a material witness. He works with Erin, speaks to her every single day. I bring in Peter Thiel and his partner Eric Weinstein because they're partners in the Control Labs Facebook merger, which was going down when Erin Valenti disappeared for 5 days, then like Houdini in a magic carpet appeared dead at 6615 Bowes Lane. So I'm going to bring in Peter Thiel and Eric Weinstein, and I'm going to bring in J.J. Cardwell, Dean Jacobson, Thomas Reardon, Bob Valentine, Doug Leone, Jim Breyer, Joe LeCrobe, Peter Guber, Scott Rafferty, Amir Khan, Harrison Weinstein. I'm also going to bring in some executives from the rental car company, which I believe was Hertz Rent-A-Car. I want to know why you can't find a $55,000 SUV car for 5 days when her father pleaded with you to GPS trace and track that car, which has a minimum of 5 transponders and a premium navigation system on the car. And you couldn't find that car. A dog walker had to find the car. So it appears that the rent-a-car company is part of this grand conspiracy, as are all these bankers. Because of most of the names I've given you, the overwhelming majority are private bankers. They're private bankers. In other words, they do secret transactions. And you do know that felony conspiracies are always done in secret. That's what makes them conspiracies. There's no transparency. All right, so that's what Juxtaposition would do. That's probably what Inspector Clouseau would do. I believe that's what Nancy Drew would do. I believe that's what Lieutenant Colombo of Robbery Homicide in Los Angeles would do. And I believe that's what Frank and Joe Hardy would do of the Hardy Boys. All right, that concludes my my thought process on the Erin Valenti case. She was murdered, and that group of people that I've mentioned, either collectively in total or individually, they certainly know where money was exchanged and who got paid to push the button on Erin Valenti. She was murdered, and this group knows who did it, not directly but indirectly. I believe the killers are, not known to any of these people. But that's how the system works. It'll take you to, a secret debit card, and these people operate between the gray and black latitudes. That's in the shadows. Like a shot in the dark, where we have the shadows of Paris, right? That we have 14 people murdered in Paris in the shadows. And there wasn't a single arrest except of the scapegoat. They arrested Maria Gambrelli, the scapegoat. But none of the actual murderers, of which there were 5 murderers, 0 of 5 murderers was ever arrested, arraigned, charged, or convicted of murder. It's exactly the policy of the Erin Valenti. That, by the way, is the policy of John F. Kennedy, right? That was the policy of Robert Kennedy. They arrested a scapegoat, Saran Surin, but they did not arrest Thane Eugene Caesar, and he did it. All right, so now let's turn our attention to Abigail Folger, Sharon Tate, Tom Coomer, that you know as Jay Sebring, and most importantly, Lino LaBianca and his second wife, Rosemary LaBianca, her third husband. And let's talk about what a elite sleuth would do, a police detective with actual authority. Well, I would bring in the art and repertoire rep for Sharon Tate. I would bring in Martin Raznoff of Filmways and his partner Edwin Casper. I give them a lie detector test. Also, I bring in Harold Gefsky, spelled Gefsky. He was Sharon's art and repertoire rep originally before she signed a contract with CBS Television, MGM, and 20th Century Fox in Culver City with both her parents, Doris and Paul, present at the MGM studios. Today you know it as Sony Studios. But Sharon Tate, age 18, signed a 7-year contract with Martin Raznoff for Filmways. And that's going to involve Edwin Casper and Harold Gefsky, all of whom got paid on the Sharon Tate contract, which would have generated money from CBS Television, MGM Studios, and 20th Century Fox. All right, then I would bring in Abigail's mother, Ines Mejia. Now she's passed away, so we can't talk to her, but she is a person of interest. I also would have brought in Art Linkletter, who was the #1 television personality for children, because he knew Sharon Tate personally and saw her around the studios for CBS Television. And his sons knew Sharon Tate also. All right, so I bring him in. I bring in Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward. They certainly knew Abigail Folger. All right, and I bring in Peter Smaldino and Peter DeSantis, who are the brother-in-laws of Lino LaBianca's. They're married to his older sisters, Peter Smaldino and Peter DeSantis, who's the managing director of the Knights of Columbus. And I'd bring in the supervisor of Peter DeSantis because he would know the schedule and routine of Peter DeSantis. I would give all these people lie detector tests. I bring in Ray Norwood, who is the controller for Gateway Markets. There were 5 markets active at the time of Lino's murder, and he also handled the banking for the called State Produce. State Produce is the vegetable brokerage company, produce vendor that makes most of the money for the group, the Gateway Market Group. Should know that they're doing money laundering over there. I'll bet you dollars to donuts. So I want to get a subpoena for all the bank accounts for Peter Smaldino and also Peter DeSantis and the Gateway Markets and the Gateway State Street Produce Broker. I want to get the bank accounts for all of them personally as well as for the corporation. I want to get the bank accounts for the next door neighbor of the murder scene, which is Karina LaBianca's home, 3301 Waverly Drive. Next door, you've got 3310 is next door, 3311 is next door, 3311. And that's Leonard Pasella and his mother, Julia Blanche Pasella. I want their bank statements. The mother is on title there are 2 homes on the property. That is where the killers who killed Lino and Rosemary, they slept overnight in that home, and they would have showered and cleaned up after murdering Rosemary and Lino, stabbing them 51 times total with the NATO M7 bayonet. So there's going to be a lot of blood. So I would look at Julia Blanche Pasella and Leonard Pasella. Now, they're both dead now, so we can't interview them, but they were alive at the time of the murders of Lino and Rosemary LaBianca, and I would have given them lie detector tests, and I want to look at all their bank accounts because they allowed their property to be used by the killers. I'm not saying they did it. I don't believe they did it, but they left town so that the military soldiers could come in. There were plenty of bathrooms between those two homes. I think it was 6 bathrooms, and it was like 2 plus 5, 7 bedrooms. So it's more than enough accommodations there. You don't need to rent a hotel. You just use the Pacella's homes. They have 2 houses on the property adjacent to Lino. There's no fence that divides the property. You just go from one property to the other. All right, then I'd bring in the college boys who lived in that home before Sharon Ransom and Leonard Pacella were living in the home, which is a ginormous home. It's 5,000 square feet. And Sharon Ransom, I'd bring her in. I'd bring, like I said, the Pacellas, both the mother and son. And I would bring in the college boys, who were Harold True, Alan Schwerdloff, bring in Harry Yost, and Ernie Baltzell. They all lived in the home. Do I think any of them did it? No, I don't think any of them did it. But they might know who was using that house after they left. Or they might know that perhaps a scouting team came to check out the house, and maybe they let them in the house to see what the proximity was to the subject property, where you'd have a double homicide. Because I don't believe that the killers just, showed up all of a sudden at the last minute. I believe they were there 6 months in advance of the actual event. Don't forget, Katy Perry wants to buy the house on the north side of the property of the murder scene.
Yeah, that's very important to note when you start looking at the details of these cases. For some reason, they keep just moving around. Like it's like they're moving into the same neighborhoods. They're rotating in and out of different properties. It's like the bank owns all of the property, or the record label, or the film company. They own all of the property, and they're just putting them in there. And there's certain infrastructure in there, like tunnels and stuff like that.
Katy Perry wanted to buy that Catholic retreat, the Catholic Order of the Sacred Heart.
And there's always a Catholic Jesuit retreat that always pops up too.
I believe it's called the Immaculate Heart. Their icon is a military bayonet stabbed through the Virgin Mary's heart with blood coming out. Doesn't that sound religiously incorrect? So, I would like to look at the bank statements of Lino and Rosemary. You do know that I've already studied the 2 police reports by the Los Angeles police, because I'm not a potted plant. Lino was using a minimum that I can discover 8 different banking facilities. 8. I don't know how many bank accounts you have or how many financial institutions you have. But Lino, who is a former military policeman for the Army and an MP for the Army, and he's a graduate of USC, University of Southern California, in finance, he has 8 banking facilities. Now, in terms of traditional banks, he was using Hollywood National Bank. He was using Golden State Bank. Those are 2 traditional banks. Then he was using Bank of America, the Lincoln Heights branch. He also has a safety deposit box at that Bank of America. Okay, so he can put silver coins, which he deals in silver coins. He can put that at that bank. He also was using Atwater, the Atwater branch of Crocker National Bank. That's 5. Let's delete the safety deposit box back to 4. Crocker National Bank is now owned by Wells Fargo. So you got Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Golden State Bank, and Hollywood National Bank. Those are traditional banks, and Lino had 4 bank accounts. You should also know that Gateway Market had multiple bank accounts also. Ray Norwood would have been in control of those accounts. He was the controller. Pardon me, Ray Norwood. Ray Norwood, who is older, he's older than Lino, and he was picked by his father, Lino's father. Lino's name is Pascalino LaBianca, and his father was Pascalino. And Pascalino selected Ray Norwood, who's closer to his age. And he was the controller at the time of younger Leno's death.
Another thing that you always discover is that pretty much everybody in Hollywood just using a fake identity. I mean, you go and you look up their real name is very rarely what they go by. I mean, maybe they go by something that resembles their name, but put it this way, it's like unless you're going by your middle name or something like that, I've never really met anybody in my day-to-day life who just like goes by a fake, completely made up name. So it's like the vast majority of these people are just using fake names.
So we got 4 traditional bank accounts. In addition to that, you should know that Leno dealt with silver coins and was considered a numismatic member of the American Numismatic Association of Coin Dealers. And he was a member in good standing. And he was known to be a person who could assess the value of silver and gold coins. At the time of his murder, they found over $3,000 of silver coins in his Chevy Impala car trunk, parked directly below, where he was murdered in his living room. And at the bottom of the driveway, his car was parked with $3,000 of silver coins. Now, that was in 1969. So just that's like $50,000 in cash in your trunk of your car. Minimum 50,000 bucks. So clearly, robbery was not the motive to kill Leno and Rosemary LaBianca, because they left quite a few valuable things in Karina LaBianca's home. Remember, it's not Leno's house, it's his mother's house. He lived in the Disney mansion in Griffith Park, okay, which is approximately 8,000 square foot home with 5 bedrooms and a movie theater and a tennis court. So not going to be living in a little 1,500 square foot 2-bed, 2-bath cottage. But anyway, the media didn't tell you that, so you don't really have any basis to know what you're talking about. So it turns out that because Leno was a coin dealer, he had relations with other coin dealers, including Don Shearer, who is also associated with the American Numismatic Association, and did transactions between cash, money, and silver coins. He also did business with the United States Secret Service, because they have a division called Coin Operations. So Leno is plugged into the same people who murdered Jack Kennedy, right? Secret Service. And he worked with Richard Cameron, who was an agent for the Secret Service. Leno LaBianca. He also worked with Roxy Luciarelli, who was a coin dealer for whom he exchanged cash, money, currency for silver coins. They each bought and sold coins to each other. So if you look at that, those are all money laundering facilities. Roxy Luciarelli, who's a coin dealer, and Richard Cameron, who's United States Secret Service coin dealer, and Don Shearer, who is American Numismatic Association. And he also had a banker in San Diego at the Ocean branch of Bank of America. So he had yet another Bank of America branch who he did business with. So he had 4 traditional banks, and then he had 4 unconventional banks, and it adds up to 8 potential money laundering facilities, right? And I'm sure that he had more. Not to mention he had the safety deposit box. That's a 9th place to hide cash or silver coins. And like I said, he used the trunk of his car to hide silver coins. And undoubtedly, a guy like Leno LaBianca, who has, at the time of his death, 9 racehorses at Santa Anita Racetrack, he may have silver coins stashed out there. That's Johnny Roselli's racetrack. Johnny Roselli is one of the managers and owners of the racetrack, Johnny Roselli. And so maybe Johnny Roselli might be another example of a money laundering facility. Certainly Santa Anita gambling is a money laundering source. It's a casino, right? It's a casino with pretty ponies. It's a pretty pony casino. All right, so do you see how my mind works? Do you see that one of the ways that you can get to the bottom of things is to examine the bank statements, the deposits, comings and goings, withdrawals and deposits? We call that here at the Juxtaposition channel the sources and uses of money. You can't necessarily find the murderers, but you can find payments from too. And that'll paint a picture for you.
So another thing is like what what is important to understand with everything is like all of these things happening in last 6 months, year, 2 years, 3 years. You don't they don't give you any of this stuff anymore. They don't give you any access to coroner's reports. They don't give you any access to anything. They seal it for 60 years, or they just nobody can. Now people can't even get their story straight. Now one guy will say this, the other person will say that. So I'm really got I'm pretty certain that a good half of every narrative being presented right now is just to be considered fake. So maybe there is like a nugget of truth, but I would say that you should at least just go into it and say 50% of everything that seems to be true is probably not entirely true. Um, what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to play some the last couple reels uh, because I thought those would be interesting. 1 second. Yeah, these reels that I'm going to play here were from like the last, I think the last part of this video. Not this video, but the series that he was talking about.
That house. And of the 11 members of the household, 10 of them were involved with adulterous affairs. Okay, so that's ethical. Question number one is who is not cheating? And the only person who isn't cheating is Maurice, the second butler, was not cheating. However, he is engaged in blackmail of Monsieur Ballon to increase his compensation as a butler in this household. The household is broken into the following. You have the master and the mistress of the home, which is Benjamin and Dominique. Those are two. And then they each have a butler. And so we have Henri Lafarge is the head butler, and Maurice is the second butler. They have two chauffeurs. Both Madame and Monsieur have their own personal chauffeurs. It appears that the Spaniard, the passionate Spaniard Miguel Ostis, is assigned to Monsieur Ballon, and the second chauffeur, Pierre, is assigned to Dominique. And they're having a romantic affair of their own, as well as the head butler is having an affair with Dominique. So she is having sexual affairs with her husband and with the head butler and with the chauffeur Pierre. That's three. Both the butler and the chauffeur are married to another woman who is residing in the helps quarters of the Chateau. So we have everyone is married and everyone is cheating within that group. But nobody takes the cake greater lust than does Dominique, the 22-year-old nymph, because she's having an affair. There were 11 members of that
He's talking
house.
about the movie.
And of the 11 members of the house, the death toll is 14 people dead. Okay? And only one of them was guilty only of blackmail. Pierre was guilty supposedly of adultery and only. And in the case of Henri Laforge, he was a blackmailer and an adulterer. You can go down the list, but essentially you had 5 murderers in a shot in the dark. The biggest mass murderer was the chief of police. The chief of police, Commissioner Dreyfus, he killed he killed 10 people. He killed 6 people at the Chateau, and he killed 4 innocent people out at a dance club. So that adds up to 10 people that were murdered by Commissioner Dreyfus. Okay, then after that, it's just another 4 people were killed by 4 different murderers, all residing at the Ballon Chateau outside of Paris. Now, I use that as a template here for a couple of reasons. One is it illustrates that it would take unconventional police work, Nancy Drew, Hardy Boys, Columbo type methods, that only Inspector Clouseau could do. This murder is more complex than anything the Hardy Boys or Nancy Drew or Lieutenant Columbo ever was assigned to. This case is far too confusing. You have 14 people dead when it's all over. You have Commissioner Dreyfus taken off to a insane asylum for the mentally crazy. You have the death toll is 14 people. All right, so what I wanted to tell you is no one is safe until everyone is safe. Well, if that's the case, turn off your TV, because no one is safe watching television or cable television. And no one is really safe watching most of the podcasts in the big sandboxes. Okay? The topic is not whether the Beatles were fake or not. Who cares? Okay? Yes, they were fake. So's Mick Jagger and the Rolling Stones. They're fake too. Who cares? Bing Crosby, Judy Garland, they're Elvis Presley. They didn't write their music, okay? So get over it. And let's move on to the real topic of the day, which is democide, mass murder, and the ethical murdering of individuals and groups of people. That's what we should be talking about. And if you're talking about the Beatles, and if you're talking about Bing Crosby, or you're talking about Donald Trump, or what's going on or not going on in Minnesota, and if your name is Steve Kerr, or Malcolm Kerr, his father, who was murdered in Beirut, Lebanon, if you listen to Steve Kerr of the Golden State Warriors, you have lost your way. If you listen to Richard Gage, or Whitney Webb, or Glenn Greenwald, or Rachel Madcow, or Steve Bannon, or you listen to Joan Didion, or you listen to Lawrence Schiller, or Seymour Hersh, or Noam Chomsky, or Rand Paul, or Ron Paul, or Bernie Sanders, or Chuck Schumer, or John Kennedy of Louisiana, a phony fake senator from Louisiana, then you have lost your way. You have completely lost your way down the matrix. All right, so what I wanted to tell
Matrix of Mendacity.
So in the medical community, they have what's called standard of care. That's to make prohibited alternative methods of treatment that Medicare will not pay for, which is, of course, poppycock and mendacity. The only thing that concerns health is results. Okay, anything that can help the body heal itself, I advocate. The standard of care does not. They don't advocate. They don't advocate meditation. They don't advocate proper health and diet and exercise. They don't advocate that. There's no compensation for a doctor to recommend exercise and proper diet. They don't advocate acupuncture. They don't advocate massage therapy or chakra or scented candles or essential oils. None of that is advocated under the standard of care by Medicare. So social medicine, today now called precision medicine, e-medicine, e-pharmacy, also known as neuromodulation, CRISPR, gene editing. That's what you have today. So that would make all your medical doctors.
What's up, buddy? Nice to see you.
Hospital techs and the radiology
Thanks for tuning in.
It would make them all criminals, right? As decided by the Committee for Public Safety, because they're rolling out and signing up people to be tethered to the cloud so that they can be neuromodulated and have their DNA damaged, injured permanently. That's the point of CRISPR therapeutics. That's the point of Jennifer Doudna, who has the odious title of Chancellor of Biomedicine at University of California, Berkeley. That's a criminal title. Biomedicine, she doesn't see patients. She has PhD doctorate lab techs, but she doesn't see patients, and she has no medical licenses, but she's yet considered to be a chancellor of biomedicine, which is most perfect. So in the medical community, they have what's called standard of care.
the ones yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thank you. I appreciate tuning in. The ones that oh, there you go, UC Berkeley. Yeah. Um, the ones that he does with Sabrina Wallace are really good videos, I think.
The EKG, the EEG, the electroencephalogram brainwaves. EKG is your heart magnetic resonance imaging of your electronic magnetic frequency, the electrical body area network of your heart. That was really created in 1887 to 1895, then made ubiquitous in hospitals after 1909. They stumbled across the X-ray machine around that same time. So then we had X-rays, we had the heart rate monitoring. Then we pivoted to the brainwave monitoring in 1924. Then we institutionalized it by calling the American EEG Society was founded in 1947. Then we, at that time, created nuclear medicine, which is radio frequency in people, radioactivity in humans. That would be your body area network. Then in 1971, we came up with the computerized tomography, CT scan. 10 years later, in 1981, we introduced magnetic resonance imaging, aka the MRI. And if you layer the list of medical technological breakthroughs to help people stay healthy with all the wars designed to kill people, this is kill, and this is supposed to save. They dovetail perfectly like a template. So my supposition as a professor of antidote, I consider myself an antidote, poppycock, balderdash, mendacity, poison. So I'm calling the medical technology of heart rate monitoring and brain wave functions and computerized tomography and MRI, I'm calling those military weapons. They can be used for good and they can be used for evil, but they were developed with a military budget. Nobody raised any money to save anybody's life. That is very naive. So with that, the EKG.
One of the phrases you will often hear is something called voice to skull technology. Now, in the
Can you
new
repeat that? Voice to skull?
voice to skull technology,
I've never heard that.
of which in the 40s and the 50s, they were learning how to vibrate the brain, its fluids, and its tissue by magnetics as well as heat in order to engender the audio cortex or your frontal lobe to receive very specific electrical signals, which would then transduce in your tissues or in your audio cortex by your bone, and you would hear voices in your skull. And the skull.
Are you suggesting that an external apparatus can put thoughts into your brain?
Absolutely. And in the 40s and the 60s, they called it voice to skull. Some people, even now, due to the lack of education about how these programs progressed, they're unaware of our newest brain computer interface. And that is something where you could be breathing in a set of smart dust. You could have drank something that has more nanomaterials in it, or they can simply target you with an electrical signal to have your body create.
You should just definitely, I would tell everybody, actually here, I can put it up on the screen. Everybody should bookmark this link that I'm going to put up. There it is. That link, you should all bookmark that. That's a dictionary of words that we're building. Basically, anytime I have a subject or something that I am looking into, I take and I build like all of the words and stuff that haven't encountered yet and put them onto a big list. And there's actually a tool that can yeah, I know, right? It's so true. So true. And it's just unfortunate. I mean, it's unfortunate because, like, first of all, nobody really even like I said, you can't be sure when they're talking about this technology right here. And it's been around just so long, people can't even actually, like, you'd have to step back and reevaluate your world. And so, uh, you know, people are so uh, ready to explode. Like, they're just shaking, you know, they're just like, slightest thing sets them off. And that's where we're at now, unfortunately. And it's the wrong enemy. Completely the wrong enemy. Because you're right, this is not getting any attention. So, um, so sure, if the things that we're being told are actually happening and are real, which it's like you can't really know until it's like if it's somebody that I know and they're actually experiencing it, that's one thing. But if it's just like I'm hearing this through Twitter or something, it's a whole other thing. And until we know that that's real, if it is real, then sure, those things are bad. Don't get me wrong, but this is like this is the main issue. It's like if this doesn't get fixed, I mean, who cares? A lot more people are going to get hurt if these people are not stopped.
The necessary electrical conductivity inside of you to hear or experience through your own bone and tissue whatever electrical. One of the phrases you will often hear is something twin, because we spoke about the digital twin being in medical and surveillance, but there is also now business and education, and that's to control your behavior the same way all those wearables have been doing commercially 5 to 7 years. Fill the database, now it's automatic.
We're going to have to spend time on the cognitive warfare concept too, because they'll probably, that's being rolled out on dating sites, right? Like people looking for romance, they're sheltering in place. They don't go out to meet people anymore. So they go on the internet to find a date. But what if some person is very augmented and another person is not so, and then they have sex? So then there's that. And then they're sending, so instead of text messaging, they could be like, they don't actually have to meet, right? They could, like, I'm in prison and you're my girlfriend and visiting is very difficult, but we can still have dates, even though I'm in a concrete prison cell with no window. It'll be romantic. I'll light a candle. So, except not in prison, because they're not going to let you have a match, because you could be Jeffrey Epstein, right? People don't realize you can't commit suicide in the county jail, let alone in maximum security with 16 cameras. That's a murder or a kidnapping. It's a murder or a kidnapping and a disappearance, but it's most definitely not suicide.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But anyway, cognitive frightens me. The idea that machine to machine, zero trust, which we're going to have to talk about what that terminology means, zero trust, because according to my brother at a database company, they are employing a zero trust, everyone. That's zero trust on humans.
Zero trust. No human.
Zero trust, which means you have to be real ID'd all the time to go to the bathroom, to use the toilet. People don't realize where this is going, how beyond dystopian it is.
Yes.
That if some authority is going to decide what kind of cat food you can buy.
Because we spoke about the digital.
Yeah, it's very true. I think he did these ones as well.
The singularity refers to a technological singularity. Let me read from Wikipedia. I'll provide a link below. It is a hypothetical future point in time at which technological growth becomes uncontrollable and irreversible, which will result in an unforeseeable consequences for the human civilization. According to the most popular version of singularity hypothesis, I.J. Goode's intelligence explosion model of 1985, an upgradable intelligent agent could eventually either become a positive feedback loop for self-improvement cycles, each new and more intelligent generation appearing more and more rapidly, causing a rapid increase or explosion in intelligence, which would ultimately result in a powerful superintelligence, quantitatively far surpassing all human intelligence. Anyway, that's kind of a mouthful, but let's just say that the singularity and cycling and getting out and hiking up Half Dome in Yosemite Park and going to see what's left of Glacier National Park. There are no glaciers in Glacier National Park. If you didn't know, it's Glacier National Park minus the glaciers. But if you're out there getting exercise and feeling good about yourself, just know you're polluting the heck out of your skin, your eyes, your breathable air, your lungs are ingesting all of these nanoparticulates, which include biosensors, which hook you up to the cloud, which hook you up to each other and turn you into
Oh yeah, that's a good point. 1 second.
a human antenna. And God forbid if you're vaccinated and boosted, or you get a flu shot, or you go to the dentist a lot and get lidocaine injections, you are aglow. You are aglow with radio frequency. You're also subjected to photonics and light weapons, because every neighborhood, everywhere on the planet Earth, rural or
Yeah, this is something that I want to show you guys.
So we are going to do a little experiment. Thanks to my friend Tiffany, I'm going to give you a shout out for even giving me this idea to test the snow that we see. So I'm going to take you guys outside with me. We're going to collect a little bit of this snow here. Watch out, please. So, all right, guys, we're getting set up to check our snow. Let's see what kind of shit they're putting in this. Not that I'll be able to know what they're putting in it, but we should just see water, right? That's all we should see. Let me adjust my condenser here. Okay, so I'm gonna let you guys watch me do this so nobody says I'm doing anything weird. We have our clean microscope slide. We have our fresh snow from outside. And we are just gonna put a tiny bit on there. It's little rocks. All right, I need a top cover slide. Here's your relax, buddy. There ain't nothing out there. Okay. Let's see. Turn you guys over here so you can hopefully see what I'm seeing. All right, let's start. Ooh. Fuck is that? Weird. Wow. Let me show you guys this. I'm gonna flip this camera around. All right, guys. This is really weird because these are not ice crystals. You can clearly see that that is water on my slide. Okay. These look like effing parasites or some type of plastic. And we are seeing these strange X shapes, okay, which look very similar to me, like a chromosome marker. See how shiny blue these are? This is how heavy metals show up in the blood. Now, just to be clear, everyone, this is what snow and water are supposed to look like under a microscope. Not the strange shapes and shiny material that we just saw. Now, on top of all the strange stuff that we just saw in the snow, I've been in here messing with the microscope now for at least a half an hour. Check it out, guys. Why is the snow not melted? It's 70-some degrees in my house. I have a fire going. This should be melted. Pretty freaky, right? this goes to show that if you're snowed in.
Oh, wait, guys, there's more. That's me. I see myself. There we go. But yeah.
Go to a cashless society. It's going to be called, they'll call it a lot of things, but it's the central bank digital currency concept, CBDC, where it'll be based on GPS tracking you personally, creating a dossier on all of your behavior, your health information, your obedience score, how fast you drive your car, if you speed a lot, if you get tickets, if you have any criminal convictions in a maritime law courtroom, all that information is going to be in your file. And based on your behavior, your money may turn off. It may turn off, and your ability to put gasoline in your car to leave your smart grid detention center will be modified to prevent you from leaving. Now, you can get on your bicycle and you can try to ride, which you could do. But the problem is, if you're carrying cash, most stores aren't going to take your cash. Then if you use your debit card, it's not going to work. So you've got a problem unless you have a support system of people who are in compliance that can assist you beyond your 15-minute city. Do you see how the technological singularity works? The biodigital convergence, the idea that you are traced, tracked, and targeted 24/7, and that your behavior and your compliance and whether or not you're boosted and you get a bird flu vaccination because you go to a cashless society. It's going to be.
Before I close everything out, I wanted to say, if you want to find the episodes for the series that he and I are doing together, it is masterclass.officialurban.com. masterclass.officialurban.com. And yeah, that'll take you to all of the current episodes. So highly suggest you guys check that out. We do that every Tuesday, 4:30 p.m. on the Eastern time zone and 1:30 p.m. On the Pacific coast. Tomorrow is the 10th episode that we're doing, and that was kind of a lead up to it. So hopefully we will have some more interesting stuff to do. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in. Good night to you as well. Good night to everybody. Pastor Carner, just because I wanted to let everybody know, Pastor Carner will be back on the 30th, which will be Friday. So I will be with you until then. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. It means the world to me. And I will see you guys in the next one. Take care, guys.